Hey friends, welcome to Catherine Biroy Show. I'm your host, Catherine Biroy, and today I am extremely happy because I have one of the most favorite people in the entire world with me, my friend Corey Poirier, who is a multiple-time TEDx, MoMondays and PMx speaker. He is also the host of the top-rated Conversations with Passion radio show, founder of the speaking program Blue Talks, and he has been featured in multiple television specials. A columnist with Entrepreneur and Forbes magazine, he has been featured on CBS, CTV, NBC, ABC. He's a Forbes Coaches Council member and is one of the few leaders featured twice on the popular Entrepreneur on Fire show. He has also interviewed over 6,000 of world's top leaders. He spoke at Harvard University, the Brooklyn Navy Boys and Girls Club, and he is a rock recording and entrepreneur of the year nominee. My public speaking coach also. So if you see me soon doing speeches for Microsoft or TEDx, you know who is responsible for that. Thank you for being here with me today. It's very late here, so I'm bubbling a little bit, but you're used to that, and I guess my audience until now also. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And I have, as you know, two young children and they didn't sleep super well last night. So it might be late for you. To me, it's been a long day. So we're probably both at the same page, I think.
And
It,
it's been a crazy day, so be prepared. Be prepared for this one.
yeah,
Before
and
we-
I'm curious, you said later, and I know normally I've seen the time difference and I just don't have it off the top of my head. What
Mhm.
big of a time difference is? Like, how late for you is it right
8:30 p.m.
now? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
so
So,
not so late, but my son also didn't sleep last night, and I slept maybe 3 hours. So yeah, but when we connect, it's always like for me, it's a flow of energy, and I love working with you, and I love everything that you do. And before we start, I want to share something with my audience. People who are watching the video will see this book. Who are not watching, this is the book of why and how. Corey published this book, and he's a best-selling author. A forward was written by James Stratfield, who wrote the Celestine Proficiency. But what is the most important that I have to share from my heart? I was COVID positive in November. I had a lot of struggles in terms of my business, and everything stopped and collapsed. And this was the book which actually made me continue. Just, just stop and do it again and again because I remembered what is my why, and it was like just it's not about you and you have to continue. I found a way. I found a new company. It was a crazy ride, but I want to thank you, Corey, publicly this way, and thank you for actually quoting me in your book. It happened a long time ago, and you actually published this book with a publisher now. So please tell us a little bit about it, why it is so important. I see it as the new Think and Be Rich, but I want to hear what are your thoughts about this.
well, first of all, I mean, and you know, I feel that's so humbling, Catherine. So thank you so much because it means the world to me coming from you, but at the same time, it's why I wrote this book. And so this book, the best way I can summarize it, it's, have you ever heard of the thing, the Desert Island CD?
Mm-hmm. I
So
did.
people say, what CD would you bring to a desert island that you could listen to
Mhm.
over? I feel like this is the book I was working towards for like writing towards for 15 years, let's say, as the book. And I don't mean this in a vain way at all. I just mean as the book that somebody could take somewhere and always get new things from it. And so that for me is in terms of how I wrote it. It was written in a way that it could be valuable more than once, and also that you could open it at different places, and you didn't have to have read the previous chapter, and it would still have value. But then the other thing I did with the book, and then I'll circle back to the question of, you know, why I wanted to get it out to the world and what I hope it does to serve people. But how I wrote it, I think, is pretty unique too. I'm a big fan of the old style of books. So Think and Grow Rich, as you referenced, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was the first book I ever read in my life at age 27. So I wasn't a budding early reader, but those books are written in a different style of writing. You know, they're written in 1930, whatever, 7 and 30, both of them 37, I think. So they're written in a different way than we speak now, but it was like a timeless way. And so what I did when I wrote this book because Dale Carnegie pulled me in because he was a good storyteller. And so I said, I want to make this book story rich, but I also wanted to write in that older style that I love reading. So what I did was every day before I sat down to write the book, I would actually read parts from those older books so that my head would be actually around that writing style. And because I felt those books were timeless. And so that's kind of what into the front end of it. But the book itself, it was basically the book I felt that I would have needed when I started that I didn't have. And so it was almost like me writing in retrospect of what I wish I would have known when I started. And how that works in the book is broken down by 3 acts. So act 1 is about finding your why. And so when I first started, I didn't know my why and I didn't have a purpose and I was all over the place. And so I had to find my why. And once I uncovered or found my why, then everything changed. I was more positive and I was ready to take on the world, but I didn't know how. And so the second part in the book is thriving, the second act. And that's the how. That's what do you do with this? And so what that's based on, you mentioned the interviews. So now it's approaching 6,500 interviews. And basically, what did I learn from those interviews? Like Napoleon Hill taught, what did I learn were the common traits? So the second section is the common traits. I think I deliver 5, but I give a bonus as well. And the idea is, here's the things that I learned that the highest of achievers do once they found their why, so that they can help more people and serve more people. And so the first section, again, is about finding your why. Second section is what do you do with it once you found it? And so it's giving you the shortcut by saying, for example, the highest of achievers focus on the power of no, which just means that they say no more than most people because they only say yes to the things that move the needle. And so if you know that earlier on and you can start saying no when it's easier to say no, and you're not as busy, then it's going to be much easier to do when you get busier and you have to say no. And so it's things like that we teach in the second act. Third act is called Enlightened. And what that act is about is now that you found your why, now that you know what to do, what you want to do with that why and how to do it, the next part is how do you do it in a way that you can sleep at night? Mm-hmm. How do you bring other people along with you for the ride? So how do you, I call it enlightened super achievers. But if I reference people, it'd be like the Jack Canfields of the world, or the Zig Ziglars, where they're not just trying to get to the top of the mountain by themselves. They're trying to pull other people up with them and push other people up. And Zig is passed, so we'll say the late Zig Ziglar, but his son's carried it on, Tom, and he's trying to push people up to the top of the mountain. And so how do you do it in a way, again, that you can sleep at night and you're doing it for other people and not just yourself? So why are you doing it is the first part. How do you actually do it? And then the third part, now how can you do it in a way that you're contributing to society? That's how the book's broken down, and then it's followed by 400 quotes by other thought leaders.
And everything resonated with me. I read a Kindle first, then I was listening to audio, and then you sent me a message and said, I'm sending you the book without even knowing that this is happening. So I said to my hubby, the book we just made me decide to continue is coming my way. So it can't be a coincidence. I'm truly grateful, and I highly recommend this book. I think I will make a video about it. It's really, really brilliant, and I really, really appreciate being in a position to read it, to actually implement what I learned there, and to be quoted in it. It's just really, really, really good. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about are your programs. Actually, I said that you are my public speaking coach, but you also had a TEDx and your own brand, Blue Talks programs. And I was a part of Blue Talks, and I say this very loudly from just appearing once for 20 minutes. I've got 6 strategy calls. And also probably now there is a huge opportunity for me to be on TEDx, and you're helping me with that. So I want people to know about this, and so if you would like to share a little bit the story behind it and what do you do to help us all?
So I probably the best route is I'll take a quick backstage approach to this and say, here's the backstory. I've been a paid speaker for 20 years, and I always add in the paid part there, not in any way, shape, or form to say I get paid to speak, but more so because, Catherine, when I started, I thought everybody did. And then I come to find out, oh, wait, it's not the higher percentage that gets paid to speak. It's a very low percentage. Now, having said that, speaking is a great thing in the sense that lots of people leverage speaking for so many different things. There's some people that'll never get paid to speak on a stage, but will earn 7-figure income from indirectly from speaking. So I'm not saying getting paid to speak is the only way, but it's amazing how many speakers don't get paid ever to speak. And so what happened was about 14 years ago, people started coming to me because I was posting "so blessed to get paid to do what I love" and put a picture up. And people would start coming to me saying, "Hey, how did you get paid to speak at that conference? I spoke at the same conference that didn't get paid." One time, this is the best one, but one time a guy, I took a selfie and he was behind me in the picture. He was like just sitting there talking to somebody. He's like, "Look, that's me in the picture. I just spoke before you and I didn't get paid. I don't understand what happened." And so people were coming to me saying, "How do you get paid to speak on stages?" And that's the only reason I bring up the paid part, is because that's what people came to me for. So after enough people came to me one-on-one via Facebook Messenger and to some degree email as well, I said, maybe I need to start teaching this, because I'm telling people the answer over and over. And also I'm providing a service. And right now I'm doing it for free and I'm spending all this time. And it would be more efficient if I had some way to teach them this. So I launched what we call the speaking program at that point. And the speaking program, essentially, in a nutshell, is teaching you how to build a paid speaking business from A to Z in basically 12 weeks of a program. So what took me 18 years or 17 years is condensed into basically 12 weeks, 12 weekly sessions. So that's the speaking program. And we had a lot of success with that program. We've had hundreds of people, I think maybe 300 and some now have been in that program. Then, and this brings us more full circle, but 2 years ago, roughly, a little over 2, people started coming to me saying, "How did you land 3 TED Talks in a really short amount of time?" And again, when people are asking, as you know, Catherine, you have to listen. So I said, okay, people are asking me for this over and over. Maybe I need to start teaching this. So then we launched what's now known as the Branded Talk program. I changed the name so to encompass more than TED Talks, but just TEDx alone, our students in our program, we had a student every 3 weeks in 2019 land their TEDx talk. And we had many of them that came to us trying for years to land a talk and didn't land one. And they've since been multiple time TEDx speakers. And so that really resonated with both them. And obviously I got passionate about it, which probably the results came from the fact that I get really passionate with helping people. And also because I had landed 3 and I knew that I kind of was able to reverse engineer and see the best way to bring people to the stages. I also feel like it's helping that brand as well, because I'm teaching them the whole process and how to deliver a TEDx style talk. And so hopefully that, keeps the game high with TEDx, because I feel like it's a certain level. When you watch a TEDx talk, you expect something, you expect that they're at a certain level. So, so basically we started helping people land their TEDx talk and branded talks. And then finally, and this brings us full circle, about a year and a bit ago, and you'll hear another common theme, people started coming to me saying, well, I want to do a spiritual type talk or a woo-woo talk, because we like to use the term woo-woo. People are coming to me saying they want to do a talk like that, and said, well, I know TEDx, that's not really their focus. So I'd like to do that type of talk. What's your solution? And so I looked at a bunch of different options, but I couldn't really find any event where it traveled to other places like TEDx and do branded talks. And so I've always believed more, Zig Ziglar said this, something to the effect that if I have knowledge in my head and you need that knowledge in your head, I have a moral obligation to find a way to get it to you. And I'm paraphrasing completely there. But my thinking was, if I am having people come to me, ask for something that doesn't exist, and I know it should exist, I have a moral obligation to create it. Hence Blue Talks. So what happened was about a year and a half ago, the concept for Blue Talks came up. Blue is BLU, stands for Business Life Universe. And so that's our themes typically. But a year and a half ago, when I decided this has to be a thing, we planned 3 live events, one in Western Canada, second one in San Diego, and then the third one we went to Harvard University. So we really moved up quickly. But basically we filmed 50 speakers roughly during that course of those 3 events. And then the plan was to launch those as live talks, just like TEDx. And to be honest, here's a side note behind the scenes thing. I thought it was going to be really quick to get these talks already, not thinking about the fact that we recorded 4 angles for every speaker, and every speaker had 30 minutes. So that means for 50 speakers, that's 100 hours of watch time, not including the audio editing and not including any editing. So all of a sudden I realized we couldn't launch as quick as I thought. So we ended up having about 4 months before we could launch. So then I started thinking, well, maybe this can be bigger than the stages. And all of a sudden I decided maybe it should be a book series, like a compilation. Then I said, well, maybe we should have a podcast because that's the other side of my life. And then finally we added in the virtual events. So now it's all 4 of those platforms. And the best way I can describe it as a brand, if a person hasn't checked it out yet, is if TEDx and Chicken Soup for the Soul got married and had a baby, the baby would be Blue Talks. So I don't know if that's the proper way to explain it, but it's essentially a branded talk and a branded series that has multiple platforms. And the last part to this whole thing is now we've inked a new deal that's going to mean that Blue Talks are going to be featured on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, United Airlines, various hotels, on the C-Suite Network, and Connect TV plus YouTube. And so it's just starting. I mean, we're only, I think, 4.5 months since the official launch. And yeah, it's been amazing, such an amazing experience. Been so honored. We've had people like you and Les Brown. We've had Tom Ziegler, Michael Gerber, Heather Monahan, who you and I were just talking about. We've had so many cool influencers on the Blue Talks virtual stage as well. And yeah, it's just been amazing. We have live events coming up this year again, despite COVID. We've already ran 2 events since COVID started, live events. And so that's kind of Blue Talks in a nutshell. And in terms of people working with us in Blue Talks, this isn't meant to be a pitch, but basically we end up having people come to work with us because they'd love to be a best-selling author, or they want to be featured on a podcast, or be featured on a virtual stage, so that they have this material for their future marketing. You know, if you want to be an influencer, how great is it to have all this great marketing that you can use in the future? And also then the benefit, as you mentioned, of you're in front of a live audience. You know, you had 6 calls, as you mentioned, from it. So that's kind of Blue Talks in a nutshell. Did I summarize that okay, or did I maybe go a little too long?
It's perfect. And I just want to mention, back in the group, I saw you interviewed Lisa Nichols and Ivan Carmichael and Shay Bottom, and a lot of brilliant people and influencers. And there is a lot of value. But you just mentioned that you are also publishing Blue Talks books, which are actually bestsellers. You are basically publishing bestseller after bestseller, and one of the latest volumes, a few of my dear friends, Sarah, Sue, and Steffi got published, and they actually, I know I will not say which one, but they were dancing around the table for reaching the Amazon bestseller. I've been there. I'm familiar with the pod. I know it's not easy, and you are doing it over and over and over again. So what is the brilliance behind actually connecting all those brilliant people to create something beautiful like that? Because I know these 3 people, but there are a lot more. And you're just, as I say, a super connector. And when someone knows you, they know the whole world. Like we were going through, this application, and that, oh, I know this person and that, and da, da, da. So yeah, you're just brilliant in connecting people. And you want to talk something about, tell us something about the latest book that became a bestseller.
Yeah, so the Blue Talks books, we have 3 so far in the series. It's now we're at the stage where we're doing them almost every second month. So I say 3 now, but the 4th one is already really close. And what I'll say, I mean, first of all, I'll give credit to those amazing people that came together within the book, because they played such a big part of it. You know, their stories are brilliant, but also they shared the word about them being in a book. Like, I never want to minimize the fact that when you're working with so many amazing people, good things happen. What I will say is that my big why, and this was, it's funny because I have my previous why, and then I have what I feel is kind of my new why, or maybe I have both at the same time. I won't go back into the previous one, but it's still kind of tied together because it's about making an impact and stuff like that. But I feel like what I've been called to do is help influencers next level or up level, and help people that aren't influencers yet get to there and believe they could be there, so they can share their message with the world. And the world now, and this is the key thing, because always people think when you say influencer, they think people like Gary Vee or whatever. And I'm saying everybody has to reach 1 million people. That's not what I'm saying. To me, somebody could, write their feature in the book, and it could save one person's life. Well, to me, they're an influencer then. Just having your story in a book, you're an influencer. So I want to help more people get to whatever that next level is for them. Sometimes it's just becoming a bestseller. Sometimes it's getting on a certain radio show. Sometimes it's reaching 1 million people. But that's, I think, when you talk about doing that, that's what drives me, is that person dancing because they became a best-selling author. It's, first of all, knowing they have that experience and they can leverage that for the rest of their life as a professional. But then secondly, knowing that they're impacting lives while they're doing it. I mean, it's like the best of both worlds. They're rewarding themselves and rewarding other people. And I just get to be a tiny little piece indirectly in the background. But as far as how it happens, to me, it's the brilliance of all those people coming together in a collaboration. And I will say the other side to it is, when you've been doing it as long as I have, you kind of understand, what the easy, not easy, it's not, because it's not easy, but what the best path is to get people to bestseller and to get the books to bestseller. The first three, and I'm going to knock on wood, I'm not going to ever be ego enough to say that every book will reach that, but all of the first three have been #1 international bestsellers. And I have a great person working with me who, that's what she does. She's a bestseller strategist. She does something different than most people do. I won't go into all of her system, but there's a pre-order component, which is different because it takes away a lot of the stress. But the point is that there's a whole, I'm going to call it a big collaboration of a whole bunch of people that make it possible. But there's nothing quite like the feeling. Like, Blue Talks officially launched, I think the first book came out in mid-September, and now we're well over 100 international best-selling authors, of which I would say probably 80 either had never written before in a book or were at least never a #1 best-selling author. And there's no greater feeling. Like, that's only a few months. That's like, if you average, that's 20 a month, almost one a day, new best-selling authors. I mean, that's just, to be a small part of that is such a huge rewarding feeling.
Exactly. And just imagine this, you are impacting the lives of the co-authors, and they are impacting the lives of everyone who reads the book. So it's spreading all around, and that's why I adore it. I know something new is coming up, and it's a new project of yours, which I'm very fan of, and I can't wait to see how everything will unfold. But would you like to share a bit with my audience about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is publicly the first time. I mean, I've hinted towards it in different places, but I think it's publicly the first time in a podcast I've talked about it. So forgive me as well, people listening. That yeah, it's the premiere, and it wasn't necessarily. We talked, you and I talked off air like 10 minutes before. Hey, should I talk about this? And so I say it's not a planned thing. It's not something I've shared with other people. But the gist of it is, I finally decided that I wanted a way to continue to reach more people and do it in a way that I could reach almost anybody. Because let's be honest, I feel like with what we offer, anything we do, pricing wise or package wise, is really reasonable and doable for the average person. But you're always going to have circumstances like, we're COVID right now, where somebody maybe is down to part-time or what have you. I wanted to have an option where, for a minimal amount monthly, people could get access to me at a fairly high level, not one-on-one access, but access to all the stuff that we put together at a fairly high level, and be able to do it in a way that helps them grow on a daily basis. And the only way I could figure out finally how to do that was through a member site, to actually build a member site where people could get access to the type of stuff that I'm teaching. But like I say, have it all in one place and have it almost like it's a community that we're building together rather than me working one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, and without COVID, I don't think it would have happened this quickly, because I've been talking about it for like 4 years, and this was the push. But essentially, it's a member site where you can learn, as we were just talking about a minute ago, my new found why. We can help you go to the next level with influence. And that could mean help you figuring out how to launch a podcast efficiently. It could mean helping you figure out how to sell thousands of books rather than not know how to put a book out. It could help you with self-care. And that could mean just daily check-ins, and we help you through that. So basically, we're building a member site that has a back end, which is based on categories. And so that could be podcasting, writing, speaking, what have you. And again, it's designed mostly for influencers, but influencers can be really anybody who either wants to communicate with people through written word or public word or spoken word or audio. And so essentially it's built on categories. And so as a member, you get access to basically my teachings in a lot of different areas. And then also the really cool part is interviews that I've done with other high achievers that are specialists in that area, while also getting access to some of those live where you can ask questions in real time, and then also getting access to new features that are exclusive to that member site. So it's called the Influencer Vault. And I mean, it's depending on when people are listening, but if they're listening when this just is starting to air, it's so new. It's like, I mean, it's, you know, it's as new as my son, who's only 5.5 months old. It's like brand new. But really, again, it's designed to be the way that for a reasonable monthly fee, you can get access to most of what I would try to teach you about becoming a next level influencer, and also get opportunities to actually do that and jump on that.
Brilliant.
So that's, and I shared this. I'm cautious to not go too deep into it. So if you notice, I was dancing around it, Catherine, because I shared it with you a little bit more succinct than that. But I'm trying to give people an overall feel, but also not tie yourselves too close because it's the first time I'm sharing it.
Yes, I'm familiar with more details, and I'm absolutely amazed with it. I love it, and I know your teaching style and everything that you provide. So I know it's going to be 10 times more value than anyone can expect. That's all I can say. I can't say anymore. So we will have a little bit far more with that second part of the interview I'm familiar with. And I will ask quick questions, and you have like 10 seconds to answer to me.
Okay.
What is your favorite book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
And my bell isn't working, like on my iPhone. So today nothing works. My bell is not working.
Oh, your bell.
My mic is not working, but never mind. We are just the show must go on. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Play music or spend time with my kids.
Oh, what
it's awesome. What's that? What do I play? A guitar, singing guitar.
Really?
And cool. Yeah, and I go through periods, but right now I'm in this obsessed period, like where I'm playing a lot. So yeah, play music or hang out with my kids, or a combination of the two.
Cool. My son told me, Mom, I want to learn how to play piano, but you have to learn with me. So we're starting to learn that. And what would be your advice for everyone who is starting with public speaking?
Wow, on the public speaking side, I would say if I can only give a short answer, I would say start watching other speakers, like on YouTube. Get obsessed with learning what other speakers do well. And at the very same time, do it in such a way that you're not trying to imitate them while you're learning. So Tony Robbins didn't try to become the next Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols didn't try to become the next Steve Jobs. But if you can watch what Steve Jobs does really well and take the foundation and the fundamentals and the principles, but apply it in your own style, that's game changing. So get obsessed with learning what other great speakers do well.
I love that. Thank you so much for being my guest, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.